Hey, what's up everybody? My name's Ben and this is the second part of my backstory. If you're watching this wondering what it's all about, then please check out the first part. So the point of this video is to give you a bit of background and context. I'm going to run through a bit of a timeline, talk about some of the significant things that have happened, to hopefully set the scene a little bit for you guys. I'm 41. My first memory of my back is when I was like 18, 19. I did have a couple of little injuries. I fell off a trailer when I was 14. I had a big rugby hit and I was out of action for a couple of weeks. Neither of which were really significant enough, but worth mentioning. My mother had an L4, L5 discectomy, and there's kind of a lot of evidence that says, especially in the lower back, that kind of lower back pain is genetic. So I left school at 16, 17. I went straight on to site. I was working for a landscaper, so in a physical job. And I remember starting to get niggles and seeing a physio now and then, a chiropractor when I was about 18, 19. Fast forward to when I was sort of mid-20s, 23 to 25, I was starting to get sort of 3 or 4 episodes a year, pretty bad flare-ups. I was getting sciatic pain. My back was pretty bad. Sometimes I'd be when I had these flare-ups, I'd be just laid flat on the floor for a number of days until the inflammation kind of calmed down. 25, I had a bunch of MRIs. I was recommended that I have this L4, L5 discectomy. Along with it came a recommendation that I stop any kind of impact sports, and I also change physical job as well. That was a real big one for me. So I've kind of always been a really physical person. All of a sudden having to go and get an office job. I'm 41, so when I was at school, computer stuff didn't really happen. I didn't have an email address. I didn't use spreadsheets or anything like that. So that was a real big adjustment. The procedure itself was not too invasive. I felt like it all went really smoothly. Afterwards, I bounced back pretty quickly, I guess because I was young. And I kind of, went back to how I was before, sort of a year or two before the operation. My back was definitely much better, but also I'd stopped physical work too. Fast forward, so that was 25. Fast forward 9 years, 34. I had another L5 S1 discectomy, and much of the same. So just kind of episodes that were happening 3 or 4 times a year that were just getting closer and closer. That procedure, I definitely didn't bounce back as quickly. I think because there's more scar tissue. I was that much older too. And then fast forward to, the time in between, I was doing physical stuff. I could still, I built this shed, my office that I work from home. I landscaped my own garden. I built that, and I would pay a price. And I was always physical when how I kind of play and mess around with my kids and stuff like that. So fast forward to 39, I had an L5 S1 fusion, and the 6 months running up to that were really, really quite bad. At that time I had a 3.5-year-old and I got a 6-month-old daughter. Things had not gone well at work, especially in relation to the back stuff, and I felt really kind of cornered by having to have this operation. If I'd had money, I would have looked elsewhere and maybe done something crazy, like gone to Panama and tried some crazy sort of umbilical cord stem cell stuff. I got this letter which I'll stick up on the screen so you can pause it and see what it says, but it's from the surgeon, and it said that there's an 85 to 90% chance that the operation will sort out my leg. There's a 60% chance it will sort out my back, 5% chance that it will all get much worse. And so I had everyone around me, telling me they're great odds, and I'd just done a sort of a 6-month stint on really high opiates. I was taking lots of tramadol. I was taking Oromorph all the time. The leg pain was way worse than it was the previous 2 times. This was much more about the sciatica than it was the back. My foot just felt like it was throbbing the whole time. I felt like it was cut in a hot rod down the back, and it got to the point where I couldn't let the meds wear off at all, so I was just kind of loading up on them constantly. I tried to kind of sort of prepare myself as much as possible for the procedure. I had a sort of last minute panic, phoned a physio that I'd been seeing for 4.5 years and said, is there anything we can do? Can I try anything else? And he was great and sort of calmed me down and said, look, we've looked at all options and we've tried to avoid this for as long as possible. So I went into it. The good news was initially they thought they were going to do a 2-level fusion, and they did a 1-level fusion because they want to sort of eke my back out for as long as possible. So I'm pretty much definitely going to have more procedures eventually. Just how soon is kind of down to me, I guess. The procedure itself, I was much more nervous about. I spent a bit of time online. As I said, it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I felt kind of pigeonholed by it. The day of the operation was insane. I got to the hospital with my wife and we were in the waiting room. I was called in and they told me that they couldn't do the operation because there was some infection on the ward. And so we were leaving the hospital. My wife was really upset. And I said, let's go out this door here. This is a quick cut through to the car park. And my wife said, no, let's go to the canteen and get a coffee. Now, I'm pleased she did, because we bumped into the surgeon in the corridor and it's all a bit crazy. He said, look, if I can get a team and a room, are you up for it? And I said, yeah, okay, of course. And half an hour later, he said, look, I've got a team. If you're up for it, well, then let's do this. And so we did it. It was definitely much tougher going. Anyone that's kind of worried about pain, don't worry too much, because you will have someone there that's their sole purpose is to manage your pain. There's definitely going to be discomfort. I had a little bit of a panic attack in the recovery room, but I was surrounded by really great people that kind of calmed me straight down. The one thing I will say is the physio people there, their job is really not physio. Their job is to get you out of the bed and free up the beds as quickly as possible. So as soon as you can show that you can get on your crutches, make it up a flight of stairs and open a door, you're going home. So have a think about whether or not you want to push yourself really hard to impress a sort of a young physio when really all you're doing is kind of making your bed available. Going home was definitely interesting with a 3.5-year-old and a 6-month-old, and feeling obviously super, super fragile. And for me, the recovery rate was slow. It was slower than I thought it would be. The outcome was good straight off the bat. My leg pain was 95% better. I still have a bit of sciatica today, but that's more because of a nerve damage, but it's really like super, super low level. I'm absolutely fine with where it's at. And I think it took about 2 years. So it's only been the last sort of 6 months ago that my back has felt like my back again. In that time, I've been fine and out of pain, and it's been, but just in terms of like how my back has felt, not feeling alien. So yeah, look, and kind of right now I can kind of do all the things that I love. I'm a super keen cook. I love food. I'm a complete guitar nerd. I play live a lot. I rehearse and practice a lot. I can do that stuff. And the most important thing is I can be physical with my kids. I can play, I can run around, kick a football and do all of that stuff. So that was a waffly one, but hopefully worthwhile for those that want to kind of understand whether or not my story is relevant to them. The next video is going to be into the good stuff. So I'm going to talk about what works for me. I'm going to run through all of the sort of things that I'm doing day to day and have kind of built into my life that hopefully will be useful for you lot.